Yeah, hi guys. What Jan refers to as the Great Pad was a converted bakery on Regent Street in Berkeley. It was 4 blocks south of campus, and it was 2 rooms. One was like a small basketball court, and the other was a kitchen that was, it was like 30 by 30 by, and maybe a 25-foot ceiling. And anyway, the total rent for this place was $80, and there were 5 of us living there, so it was $16 a month. But I will correct Jan. The last person was Carl Huff, not Steve Thompson. Carl is now in Canada, as far as I know, and so we're all climbers, and we'd often talk about climbing and training and so on. And Frank and I were very into this stuff called circuit training. And the circuit is actually a PE course at Cal. And anyone could take it. I think you got half a unit for your troubles. Although you worked pretty hard for that half a unit. And it was set up in a circular hallway around what was then Harmon Gym, the basketball court, which is now gone, and I believe that's now Haas Pavilion. Is that right? Who knows? Come on, someone knows that. No one from Berkeley here?
Yeah, seems like.
Okay, and anyway, the circuit consisted of 3 laps around this hall, and there were these various exercise stations at regular intervals around the hall, and you do things like curls, pull-ups, sit-ups. These things called wrist rolls, where you roll a weight up on there's a cord going from a dowel down to the weight. But the heart of this was the stair running. And the circuit was on the top floor, so you'd run down into the basement, which was 2 1/4 flights. And the only difference between the different levels in the circuit was how many reps of each thing you did. And the idea was to hit the target time, which was 22 minutes, and if you could make the circuit in that target time, well, you'd go on to the next level. And there were 6 levels, A1, A2, A3, B2, B1, B2, B3, from easy to hard. And both Frank and I got so that we could do B2 in 22 and a half minutes, but neither of us could ever get B3. I've subsequently ran into people who could do B3, and I know I tried it lots of times, and I could never do it. And you know, we know a lot more about training for climbing now. This was pretty good for general fitness, and here's how I'd assess it, that if I'd been running the circuit diligently all winter, I could start out climbing in the spring on a grade 5, not do great on it, but I'd be functional at least. Anyway, one time I just happened to mention, in terms of, what you need physically for climbing, that I thought that, someone mentioned something about biceps, and I said, biceps are a very small muscle in climbing. That's what's really important are forearms and lats. And Frank, listening to this, said, climbing is a very small muscle in life. And that, I think, is very telling about the way Frank thought of things. And a good friend of all of ours was this kid, Danny Tavistock. Tavistock was unusual. He was a very good boulder. That's where we knew him from. And Frank and Danny were quite good friends. They often would go to samurai movies, which Frank liked quite a bit, and he once said that he was interested in this idea of a calm center surrounded by furious action. And I like to think that had Frank survived longer, he would have gotten very interested in Zen, because that strikes me as his natural path. And one time this is in the winter, we're in the valley, and we're walking up below the southwest face of El Cap, and these giant icicles form up there, just hanging off the overhangs up on the rim there, and the sun hits them, and they break off and they shatter, and these shards of ice come spiraling down. And Frank liked to just stand there, and he wouldn't move until he was sure that he was actually in a line of fire. This was for him a way of working on his, I was going to say composure, but that's not quite the right word.